What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about the map that leads to you. This is an Amazon original that dropped sort of just randomly, quietly. It stars Madeline Klein, KJ Apa, and also does have Josh Lucas in the cast. And it's directed by Lasse Hallström. Wait, it's directed by who? Wait a minute. That can't be real. Is that... No, this generic girl goes to Europe, falls in love, and goes home movie is directed by two-time Academy Award nominee Lasse Hallström. I don't believe that. So I watched the film because I didn't know what it was. It was just like, oh, it's a random streaming title. Watch this and talk about the audio description and review it. Got to the end of the credits and I was like, directed by Lasse Hallström. What? And if you haven't had the pleasure of checking out his IMDb page, his bio is amazing because it's written in English and he is originally a Swedish filmmaker. And I don't know what happens in life, but we have American titles for movies, and then I guess it translates into Swedish as something, and then there was somebody who was doing the publicity for Lasse who translated them back, but they have a lot of, the titles are not what we would call them here. So instead of giving us whatever the Swedish translation would be of that title, I guess they have tried to retranslate the titles. So like What's Eating Gilbert Grape is not called What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It has a interesting and unique title to it that is similar. Cider House Rules was completely different. So yeah, Lasse broke. I'm going to keep calling him that. I think that's what he's called. I realized, I was like, man, I haven't seen this dude in years. He sort of broke onto the scene with My Life as a Dog, which was an international feature play back in 1985, earning him his first nomination. And that set course the a lot of other films that he was able to do, obviously notably in the 90s. What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which got some Oscar play, notably for DiCaprio and supporting actor. And of course, Cider House Rules, which earned a Best Picture nomination, Michael Caine's in the supporting actor category. So he's got some interesting work in there. He also did films like The Unfinished Life with Jennifer Lopez and Robert Redford, Morgan Freeman, and just really a bunch of interesting films. It caused me to look at his filmography and realize that I've seen some other things without noticing that he did them. Like I didn't know he did A Dog's Purpose. I didn't know that he did A 100-Foot Journey. I did know that he did like Chocolat and Casanova and some of those films, but I kind of like after 2010, I wasn't really familiar with his career. Hachi, A Dog's Story. So he's got some solid films in his credit. And then, I don't know, he just decided he'd cash a paycheck. This feels nothing like anything he's ever done before. Even some of his more like films, like I guess I found out also that he directed Safe Haven, which is just sort of like one of the weaker Nicholas Sparks adaptations. It doesn't really feel like a Lasse Hallström. It doesn't feel like from the director of Cider House Rules or What's Eating Gilbert Grape, It doesn't feel like that at all. But I mean, it's not the first Nicholas Sparks adaptation that he did. So, but like I could see how A Dog's Purpose made sense. He's obviously worked with dogs before. Hachi, a lot of people love that movie. I think it's, Usually it's on the IMDb top 250 because it just makes people cry. It's nothing but like the saddest movie you'll ever see. So The Map That Leads to You is just a movie where some people, some Americans, some girls, they go to Europe, and our intrepid lead, Madeline Klein's character, falls in love with a Brit played by KJ Apa, who played Archie in Riverdale. And they have a fun journey, and then when it's time to go home, they start discussing the future of their relationship. And the thing about KJ's character, spoilers, is that he's like some of these other films we've already had this year. Well, at least a film we've had this year and other films we've had in the past. But I'm going to say this film, if you've already seen my Oxford year this year, welcome back. So he doesn't necessarily plan broadly for the future, and has a different approach to life. And the movie has a sort of heartbreaking moment, and it ends up with a warm one. So, but anybody could make this movie, is my point. Like, there's nothing here. I actually did watch this movie twice because I went back through it. I was like, there's nothing here to suggest that this was directed by an Academy Award nominated director. Not a single thing. Like, anyone out of film school could have made this movie. So I don't know what Lassie's doing with his career, and I don't know why we're wasting him on films like A Map That Leads to You. But this is nothing. This is a nothing burger of a movie. It's fine. I'm not saying it's terrible. He probably made it more watchable than somebody else would have made it, because it's not like it's like Madeline Klein and KJ Apa are like massive stars. It's been a couple years since Riverdale went off the map, so if KJ was going to blow up, he would have already blown up. He just sort of is floating still on the KJ from Riverdale train. He doesn't really have a whole lot of his own credits. Sometimes when something ends, you have somebody whose career just skyrockets, and then you have other people who don't. His career really hasn't done that. So, I don't know. This film is filler for Amazon, which has had sort of a mixed bag, a year of originals already. Yet this is the one that has like the director. Like, this is the one that has the best director of any of the films. I mean, War of the Worlds was directed by a first-time director. Heads of State was directed by the Eddie Murphy one. The Package was directed by Tim Story. I forgot who directed Heads of State, but can't be that amazing. Can't be that surprising. And now we have Lasse Hallström, and he's on The Map That Leads to You. I don't even think most people know that. I don't think most people understand that this is the guy that brought you better movies years ago. Movies that you probably would much rather rewatch those movies than watch this movie. So I kind of struggled with where to go with this. I think this movie handles its subject material better than my Oxford year. So I thought the acting was better. I thought everything was a little bit more elevated than my Oxford year, and I didn't hate myself for having seen this movie as much. So, but it does kind of feel like it could be any movie, anytime, any place. It's still, while it's a better version of generic, it still feels generic. It still feels like I've seen this movie before, I've been here before, and there's nothing special about this movie. It's just a slightly more watchable movie than some of the other versions of this movie before. So when I have Lasse Hallström at the director's chair, what does that even do? And when I sit here and think about the whole totality of the project, I can't even say, that it didn't have every tool at its disposal. If anything, it had more tools at disposal because it's the director in the chair is a great director. So the map that leads to you should have soared above everything else. That's the problem with picking somebody like Lassie for this is this should have been great. Like this should have been at least the best version of this story that we were going to get. Instead, it just feels like any old streaming movie that just drops and then you forget about it. Like the next year you'll look at it and you'll be like, did I see that? It's that movie. But it's from like a two-time Academy Award nominated director. So, I'm not excited. That's and I'm trying like I think a lot of it has to do with I wish he was doing better work. I don't know why he's on this movie. I don't know why this movie is like what cashes a paycheck, but I also acknowledge the fact that the movie would have been more just I don't know, mundane had it been not directed by him. So I think the score is boosted a little bit by him, but it's also not. So it's a tough scoring world when I get sort of right around in the middle. But there have to be some films that fall a little bit short. And I'm still going to stick with The Map That Leads to You after having seen it twice and say that it falls short. I think some of it doesn't work. I think it just feels like it's kind of predictable, like you know where it's going, you know where it's headed. And even sort of like its most emotional scene, the airport scene, I felt like I knew where that was going. Like I wasn't surprised. So I want to be surprised. I want to be emotionally moved. And Lassie has taken generic movies and moved me before. Hachi is not necessarily the most, uh, you know, profound story or has great acting in it. It's basically a dog, but he knows how to manipulate that story and make you bawl your eyes out. I mean, that is a sad story. And actually, A Dog's Purpose got me a couple times. I remember that. Not the sequel, but the first one did get me a little bit. It's hard to watch dogs die that many times and not be like, this is really sad. Uh, and I think he's competently directed some of those other films. I liked 100 Foot Journey. So here he phoned it in. And if you want to phone it in, that's fine. But this feels nothing like anything he's ever done before. The audio description was fine. It didn't ever leave me wanting. I don't know. I think the only thing that really you could have done more with is the fact that these films they save money by shooting where they shoot, but also that's sort of the point was that they're trying to attract audiences by sending because not everybody gets to go to Europe. So it's like for the people who still haven't been or want to go, it's like, oh my God, it's a romantic comedy where Americans are traversing Europe and they fall in love with a hot European guy. And look, that's amazing. Like Netflix puts out at least 3 of these a year. So it's a formula. And part of the charm of these is the location. So it's in capturing, and it's very subtle. Like I know that the rules of audio description don't necessarily dictate that you should pay attention to the setting around them. But that's kind of like the point of these movies is that it's like European porn, kind of like you're supposed to be looking at the architecture and the structure and the beauty of Europe, if we're being honest, in addition to the romantic comedy angle of it. So I just think this was a waste of time. So, but it's a better waste of time because there's a very competent director in the chair. However, this is one of his weaker projects. I'm going to give The Map That Leads to You a 5.8 out of 10, which is just slightly on the rotten side. But it has to be higher than my Oxford year. And because I scored that a certain way, it was going to be somewhere above that because it's similar to this, but it's a better movie. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.